Jimmy, I think this is a fair question that probably a lot of our viewers and listeners aren't going to like. But I will ask you this. What are the chances we're overinflating Tennessee? That we could see North Carolina State be an average to below average team? How comfortable do you feel saying that Tennessee is one of the better teams in the nation?
Very comfortable that they're one of the better teams in the nation. But, the one thing that nobody ever does after the first couple of weeks of the season is overreact, right? Nobody overreacts to anything.
We've given away a Heisman. I've already sent my Heisman vote in, Jimmy.
Have you really? Okay, where's Nico? Okay. I'm voting him second. That's where Tennessee quarterbacks end up. I think I just looked at Tennessee's defensive line. I got 9 guys, maybe 10 getting drafted. Okay, that's how deep they are. I think their defensive line's exceptional. I think their defense so far has been really good. I still don't think the secondary's been tested. I had said before the year, I think this offense could average right at 40 points. I think I may be wrong. They're going to probably average more than 40. That doesn't mean they're going to get 40 against Georgia, but they might get 70 against Kent State and pad those numbers. So I like this team a lot. I think the quarterback, the receivers, they got one great running back. To me, the other running backs still need to prove their SEC caliber, but I think they will. The offensive line's not very deep. Defensive line, I love it. The linebackers are solid. The secondary still has to prove itself. But I do think this is a college football playoff team, and I'm ready to change my pick of 9 wins to 10 because I think they will beat either Oklahoma or Alabama, and I don't think they will have a monumental slip up like they did, for example, years ago against.
Let me just ask you real quick before Caleb jumps in there. Have you seen the Connor Stallions documentary? And do you think that there was sign stealing involved? Because after watching that, I do believe that there was sign stealing involved in the Tennessee-South Carolina game.
Have I seen the documentary? No. I don't know if there was sign stealing in the South Carolina game because I don't know if there's enough evidence for me to go in that direction. But I also think the extenuating circumstance in that game was Jeremy Banks not playing. Yeah. I think that was an issue. I don't really think it was handled correctly by Tennessee. Just revisiting quickly, Jeremy Banks got suspended on Monday because he missed practice. He got in an altercation with Hooker later in the week, and then the team wasn't informed, I'm told, until Friday. And that disrupted the defense because Banks was a popular player. So I think that contributed to it. Was there some scouting that went along with it? Well, maybe they scouted the defense, but Tennessee still scored, 38 points in that game?
It's interesting when you get a chance to watch it. Now, Caleb, why don't you get us back on topic a little bit? Because I didn't know this, and I've been around 25 years. You've been around longer. That there's a subculture of these guys that get together on a Sunday after games and swap information to help each other. And Connor Stallions was one of many. I never knew that about college football. And anyway, go ahead, Caleb. Get us back on topic. Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. Jimmy, I was way higher on Tennessee than you were to start the year. I said 11-1, and I went all in. I went all in on Tennessee with Nico. But
why don't you just brag on yourself there, Caleb?
Well, no, because I got to say now I feel like we're doing the reverse because you've changed your opinion a little bit, and I'm having to draw back and say that NC State team may be really, really bad. Are we sure they struggled with Western Carolina to start the year. Yeah. They couldn't. We had an NC State reporter on right before the week and he said, oh, the only real problem is they don't have good run blocking. I'm like, well, then you guys are in big trouble against Tennessee. And so are we sure we're not paying attention to how bad NC State was up front on the offensive side of the ball? And we're not just missing that?
They are bad. It's one reason that I was comfortable in taking Tennessee and giving the points. Now, I wasn't out there like Dave was at 54-13 or whatever he picked. I wasn't that far out, but I did think Tennessee would easily cover the spread. So, and you're right about NC State's offensive line. It's not very good. I don't care if they've got 180 starts combined. Some of those guys should be starters. But I don't think they're very good on the line of scrimmage. And so could NC State end up 4-8? I don't think so. I think they're a lot better than that. And there are occasions where a really good team will make a decent team look pitiful. Maybe that's the case. I am having trouble seeing NC State being much better than a 7-win team. But Caleb, to your point, I don't think NC State's that good. Maybe in a few weeks they'll prove me wrong, but I don't think they're a very good football team.
What I took away from that game mostly, Jimmy, is that Josh Heupel and Tennessee's coaching staff is better than I thought, because they probably could have gone out there with 3 wide and not used the 2 tight end look and still won the game. But the willingness to do that, I know it's depth partly because of the tight ends that they have, but I came away from that game thinking Josh Heupel can win in more than one way, as they even ran some clock when the game was still in question.
Well, they did. I think they're a really good staff. One of my favorite plays was when Tennessee finally spread the field and went 4 wides, and they ran a quarterback draw basically for a 31-yard touchdown, because there was a gaping hole. There wasn't anybody from NC State over there. I think they're very good at this. They're very good at game planning. I mean, even a couple of years ago when Alabama was pretty stout, they scored 52 points on them. I think they have an excellent staff. I think Heupel's a great play caller. I think they're very good at game planning. I wondered a little bit how much they might miss Alex Golesh, who I think is really good. But I do remember an SEC on me during the offseason, our defense is to Tennessee's up-tempo offense. He says, not as long as Josh Heupel's there, because he's ahead of the game. He'll figure it out, and he'll score points on just about anybody. And also the fact that he's got a good quarterback, that helps. That fits his system.
Jimmy, are we going to look back on the 2022 Texas A&M game, 2023 Texas A&M game that Tennessee won 20-13 as almost like a watershed moment of Josh Heupel's coaching career at Tennessee? Because that really was the first time we saw him win a game, not outscoring somebody, but having to be stuck in a ball control, defensive oriented ground and pound game, and he pulled it out. How significant is that win, looking back, just for what we know about Josh Heupel?
I think it was a big step, because I don't remember the exact point total, but whenever they scored like less than 27 points, they hadn't won a game, something like that. But I will say this, and I think I've mentioned this before to you guys. I thought the defense was good last year. They did not lose one game last year because of their defense, because every game they lost, the offense didn't play well either. And they also ranked in the top 4 in the SEC in 5 major categories. Now I think they're even better on defense. So but I do think that was a big moment that they showed that they could win a game like that, which Heupel had not done before. And now he's got the personnel that he should be able to do that. What we're talking about, what he did at Central Florida, where he didn't have the athletes that he's got right now. But I think that was a big moment for them. And I think if they get into a quote slugfest like that, they can win a game like that.
Jimmy, you can tell me if I'm absolutely crazy if you want. I made this statement, and Bob Hodge looked on John Pennington's pregame show. He looked at me like I was crazy. When the time comes that Tennessee plays Georgia, the Vols will have a talent advantage at quarterback. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I'm not ready to go there.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that too. You can be a more talented quarterback, but not the more productive quarterback because of your lack of experience. So that's a part of the equation. I mean, Peyton Manning was a whole lot more talented than Danny Werfel, but he couldn't beat Werfel. So
that's true.
There are different ways to look at that. It's hard for me to put Nico ahead of Carson Beck, who may be the first player taken in the draft, possibly. Quarterback advantage, I wouldn't go there, but by golly, it's close. And I think as the season goes on, you're going to see Nico playing at even a higher level. I didn't think he played that well against NC State. I think the offense played great. They had 6 possessions on the plus end of the field and only got 20 points out of that. So, but I do think Nico has a chance to be a great quarterback. And I think even next year, we're going to be talking about him maybe being the best quarterback in the country. Although you may be talking about that right now.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I'm already there.
Yeah, I'm pretty close.